What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and this is your Premier League player review video. So this is where we rate all the Everton players based on their Premier League appearances and how well we think they've done this season. We start from the goal and we work our way up. So, Jordan Pickford gets a 6 from me. If this was based simply on the last 3 months of the season, he would have got an 8. He has been absolutely fantastic towards the end of this season. He really has. He seems to almost have matured, and then he got injured at a bad time as he was playing really well, and he just come back and he was fantastic again. So yeah, I'll give Jordan a 6 because the start of the season from Jordan was horrendous. So for me, it's a 6. Joao Virginia didn't really do anything wrong when he came into the side this season, so he gets a 5. Robin Olsen obviously played considerably less games than Pickford, but when we played, he looked very able, very commanding, was very decent, so he gets a 6.5 from me. Mason Holgate has played right back and centre back at times this season, and it's not been a good season for Mason. I'm not going to overdo this. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He gets a 4 from me. He has been one of the most disappointing players of this campaign. And I'm gutted, really, because I was calling for him to get into the England side last season, and he just hasn't kicked on. Michael Keane, he's only slightly better. He gets a 5 from me. Some people halfway through the season were arguing regarding Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, and for me it was always Mina, always. I never once put Michael Keane in front of Mina, and as a result, yeah, he gets a 5. He's been okay. He's been average. He's been a top 10 mid-table defender in the Premier League. Luca Dean, as always, I think Luca Dean's had a mixed season. I think there was definitely games this season where Luca Dean could have performed better. However, again, on who's scored and on transfer stat and all of the comparison website, as always, Luca Dean has come out as the best left back in the league based on ratings. So you've got to give him credit for that. So Luca Dean gets a 7 from me this season. Could have got more. Usually he chips in with a few more goals than he has this season, but nevertheless, he's been fine. Yerry Mina for me, it scared me how weak we have looked at the back without Yerry Mina, and it's mad saying that because, you know, last summer again, Yerry Mina was a player that I happily would have sold. He's stepped up this season, and he has been, when he's played, magnificent, but he has had a few injuries. So as a result, I give Yuri a 7. But he genuinely could have had more. Nielsen Conker, we haven't seen enough of him. Played in the Carabao Cup and was named in the tournament team on there as the left back. So 2 fantastic left backs. But we haven't seen enough of him in the Premier League, to be fair. So I give him a 5. Not because he's been particularly bad. We haven't seen enough of him, so he's got to have an average result. Ben Godfrey gets a 9 from me. Ben Godfrey has been Everton's, in my opinion, standout player this season. He has been absolutely fantastic and rightly got a call up to the England side today. He literally can do anything. He can carry the ball. He can pass the ball. He has got absolutely everything. He's got vision. He's got the ability to head a ball. He's got, honestly, I'd have his kids. He's absolutely phenomenal, and for that reason, Ben Godfrey gets a 9. The only reason he doesn't get a 10 is because I don't think he scored this season. And if he'd have scored a goal, I'd have given him a bit more. Seamus Coleman, he gets a 6 from me. He's done a job when he's had to. He's certainly not the future for Everton Football Club. And that's just simply down to his age. And we love Seamus. It is what it is. I'm not going to talk about the other young lads who have, sort of had sat on the bench and whatever. So that includes Ryan Ashley, Cole John, Thierry Small and Reece Welch. I'm not going to mention any of those. it's good that they've had some exposure with the first team, but it would be unfair to give them a rating. We haven't seen them. Alan gets a 7 from me. I certainly think Alan has looked absolutely boss in games. And he's also looked like a passenger in games. Don't get me wrong, not loads, but there has been games that have gone by Alan, and you can argue it's because of the injury, and that's why you get to 7 and not necessarily a higher mark. But I certainly think, I hope, touch wood, that Alan can have an even better season next season. Good bedding in season, but just want a little bit more from him next season. Fabian Delph, he gets a 4, just because I don't want him to be at the football club. I'm not even going to give you anything constructive about him. Gylfi Sigurdsson, he gets a 6. Sigurdsson, I was torn between a 5.5 and a 6 for Gylfi, because he has done well in certain games. However, in some games, he's been awful. The Manchester City game in particular was terrible. I think another one was Leeds at home. You know, these are games where you want your captain to stand up and be counted, and he certainly wasn't. He actually missed a penalty against Manchester City away as well. So, yeah, Gylfi Sigurdsson, he gets a 6. Just. I'd happily give him less. Abdoulaye Doucouré, he gets an 8. I think his energy has been massive in the middle of the park, and we certainly missed him when he wasn't in the side, when he was injured towards the end of the season. You know, there's no coincidence that we've helped him in the side. Everton looks so sluggish moving the ball. And I'm not saying he's been fantastic, because he hasn't, but his energy has been such a standout to last season. You've got to give him a high mark. So for me, Abdoulaye Doucouré, he gets an 8. I was almost going to give him a 7.5, but I do give him an 8. I think it's fair. James Rodriguez, he gets a 7.5. When we have seen James Rodriguez, bar a couple of games where he's been a passenger, he has been fantastic. He's looked for passes, he's looked for space, he's looked for opportunities to get the ball into people, and he's been very much on his own. The side that's let him down is whatever these injuries are, whatever these niggles are, whatever this fatigue is that he's got, whatever any of this is, has left a really sour taste in my mouth. Now, I admire the fact that he put football first, but I don't admire that it was our biggest game of the season and we didn't have our most influential player, in my opinion. So he gets a 7.5, slightly higher than Alan. Or did I give 7? Alan's got to have the same mark as Rodriguez, so if I've given him a 7, upgrade him to 7.5. Andre Gomez, he gets a 4.5. He's been slightly better than Holgate. That's how we're going to put that one. Jean-Philippe Gbamin, he gets... Do you know, it's not even fair to give him a score. I'm not going to give him a score. Tom Davies, he gets a 6.5. Vast improvement on last season. When Tom Davies has played, certainly towards the end of the season, he's come good. When he started a few games at the start of the season, or when he played at the start of the season, he looked bang average, he looked poor, which has dropped his mark down, because if I'd have given him this mark from January onwards, it probably would be a 7, 7.5. Tom Davies also gets the result, bearing in mind I've just given him a 6.5, he gets the result of the most improved player from last season, because he really has come on. But the first few games at the start of the season have just hampered his score, very much like Pickford. The first 3 months of the season have cost him a good mark now. Jordan Pickford could rightly get an 8 right now, and Tom Davies could rightly get a 7.5. But I can't give it them based on a season for just 3 months' worth. I'm not like Gareth Southgate, who puts people in their team that he just thinks will be good because they've had 3 great games. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Mohamed Besic and Nathan Broadhead and Tyler Onyango, I'm not going to give any of those a score, and I certainly expect that certainly the 2 youngsters I think will go out on loan next season, and I think Mohamed Besic will find himself a championship club somewhere. Richarlison gets a 6 from me. He gets a very similar score to Gylfi Sigurdsson, because Richarlison is capable of 8.5s, 9s, and we have not seen it. I think Richarlison's been really good this season for probably 6 games. and it's cost Everton. His work rate, his drive, his determination has really cost Everton. So for me, he's one of the most disappointing players this season. However, he's still been miles and head and shoulders, knees and toes above Mason Holgate's 4. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he gets a 7.5 from me. It would be more if he'd have continued his form at the start of the season. However, he didn't. He had that really, really hot streak at the start of the season where I think, including England games, I think he'd scored 12 goals in 9 games or something, including a hat-trick. And he just didn't kick on since February. I just don't think he's kicked on. I'd be very interested to know how many goals he actually scored for Everton after February, because I haven't checked. But it was certainly not as many as he did in the first 10 weeks of the season. So for that, yeah, he gets a mark down for that. He's certainly improved, I think, this season. He certainly was isolated, didn't have loads of opportunities. But also, he did have about 6 one-on-ones that he didn't score. And they were decent one-on-ones as well. So, yeah, for me, he gets marked down for that. Joshua King, he gets a 5. Didn't see enough of him. He goes with my blessing. Good luck to him. He wasn't given an opportunity at Everton. Why sign him? Don't necessarily think that's completely his fault. He chose to play for Everton over Fulham. At Fulham, I think he would have got more games. So maybe in hindsight, he regrets the move. But there you go. Alex Iwobi, he also gets a 4.5 because I just don't think he was as bad as Holgate. But he certainly wasn't very good. So he gets a 4.5. Bernard equally gets a 4.5. For pretty much the same reason. And I hope, touch wood, and this is no disrespect to them because they're probably fantastic people. But I just don't want them to be Everton players next season. I don't think they're the sort of players we need to carry us forward. There's nothing wrong with their attitude. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong with their commitment. But when Everton are losing, they're not good enough to come off and change the game, or come on and change the game. So for me, yeah, they get poor scores for that 4.5. So yeah, my player of the season, the award goes to Ben Godfrey by absolutely no question. A player that was brought in and none of us thought we really needed, and actually has become absolutely paramount to the future of Everton Football Club. This team needs to be built around the solid defence of Ben Godfrey. And if you want to go and bring in a centre-back, do not go and do it to replace Mina, because he also has stepped up this season. Most improved players this season. I'm going to give a few shout-outs here. So Tom Davies, certainly most improved on last season. He's in there. I think Jordan Pickford has significantly improved. However, I can't give it to him because the start of the season, same as Tom, it's really difficult to split the two. And I think they've come good. So they're sort of the two players that I think have improved the most. However, Yerry Mina takes that record for me. Yerry Mina takes the most improved player because he was a player that I would have sold last season for £15 million. And now I want Ben Godfrey and Yerry Mina to be at the centre-back partnership for Everton next season. Pace of Godfrey, the heading power of Mina, doesn't seem to make as many mistakes with the ball as Michael Keane does. Yeah, I'll take Yerry Mina all day. So yeah, that is it, guys. Tomorrow we have the buy and sell video, usually one of the hottest videos of the transfer window, and it's coming tomorrow. It's madness. It's absolutely madness how much content you've got being pumped at you. Absolutely pumped at you. I'm also, and I can't give anything away. Can't give anything away. But I have been asked by the biggest footballing institution in England, arguably the world, to be part of a video. This is a huge opportunity for me and this channel. And when it comes out, I need you to support what I am saying. And I'm not going to give you any more than that because I'm not allowed. But when it's done, you will be told. Don't ask any questions in the comments about it. I've probably told you too much already. But I'm going to be on a big, massive channel. You just need to support me. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Have a fantastic Tuesday evening. And, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another video or two. Peace.